He didn't go in there blindly to do any analysis. He told you that the prosecutors in this case told them that the defendant in this case was this young man. And we need you to do a trajectory analysis to put him on the scene. Now, I suggest to you, you could have a Jolly Green Giant and a midget. And if you give them the dimensions, the height and his arm length, with this mathematical formula, you could say the Jolly Green Giant or the midget was a shooter in this case. They would either be closer to the car or further from the car, depending upon their size. If you want to do an analysis, if you want to do an investigation, if you want to figure out who the shooter is, why do you point to this kid and tell him, this is what we want? Why do you do that? This is the great investigation. This is what they want you to do in order to render a verdict that could take him. And tell him that he's going to live life in the state penitentiary without parole or being on death row. This is the investigation they want you to rely upon and say it's proof beyond and to the exclusion of every reasonable doubt.
So what you just saw is part of the closing argument being done by Melly's, one of his defense attorneys. Closing argument is, if not the most important, certainly one of the most important parts of a jury trial, and it's where attorneys are able to really show their talent, use their leeway, use creativity. They're not so much constrained by the rules of procedure, and they can really get the point across if they're good at it, if they know what they're doing. Contrary to a lot of the keyboard lawyers on the original video on YouTube, I think Melly's attorney actually did a really good job here. What he was doing, what he was pointing out, was the fact that the state, the prosecution, asked this detective to go back in and basically reinvestigate the case that had already been investigated 3 years after the incident. And at that point, they had already come up with a conclusion. They have made their mind up, that is the state, the prosecutors, that Melly did this. And now they just wanted the cop, the detective, to give them an investigation that was consistent with their conclusion. Whereas it should be an objective, open investigation, and the conclusion should come at the end, not at the beginning. And he was saying that it could have been the Jolly Green Giant or the midget that they determined did this. Either one, this detective could have used this formula to fit the narrative that the state, the prosecution wanted, that that person did it, regardless of what the trajectory of the projectile was. Whatever they wanted, this detective could have come up with. That's their argument. It's a valid argument. It's certainly something to be considered, and I think he did a very effective job.